As Barbara indicated in her narratives, we have become a culture where earning money does not entitle you to it, but needing money does. What's wrong with that picture? What's wrong with that picture is that this is the moral basis of redistribution. Redistribution, ladies and gentlemen, as we know, lovers of freedom, redistribution does not create or expand wealth. The politicians in Washington are bent on destroying capital, jobs, and our way of life. Those of us who believe in limited government versus government expansion and continued runaway spending by the government must take a stand. And I thought I would use a personal example. My great uncle was a fellow by the name of D. Hart Hubbard. Most of you have probably never heard of my Uncle D. Hart. The one thing that our family has prayed on and forgiven him for is that he graduated from the University of Michigan. But in the early 1920s, Ohio State didn't have the vision to see his potential greatness. My uncle had qualified to go to the games in 1924, the Olympic Games, in the 100-yard dash, the high hurdles, and the long jump. He was very, very intent on showing Eric Liddell from England that he was indeed the fastest human being on the face of the earth. Eric Liddell, being the competitor that he was very anxious to prove to my uncle that he was the second fastest human being on the face of the earth. And they were going to meet in Paris. Well, when they got to Paris, the International Olympic Committee told my uncle that although he had qualified in those three events, he could not run in the 100 or the high hurdles. There was still a barrier of race. And so he was going to miss that opportunity that he had longed for, but he participated and set the world record in the long jump in those Olympic Games. As you know, Eric Liddell decided not to run in the finals because the finals had fallen on the Sabbath. And so one of his colleagues, Abram, won the 100 that year. When my uncle came back to Cincinnati, he talked about the great lesson that he had learned, and the lesson that he had learned overshadowed his inability or his missed opportunity to run against Liddell. He said what he had learned from Liddell was fidelity to principle and fidelity to faith. He went on, and my uncle did in 1925, and set the world record in the 100. But he, to his death, said that nothing, no medal that he won, nothing compared with the lesson that he had learned about fidelity to principle and fidelity to faith. Ladies and gentlemen, this is more than a mere gathering on a Sunday and pleasant afternoon. At a time when the left is attacking the foundational underpinnings of America and American exceptionalism, those foundational institutions being the family, religion, market economy, and individual liberty, we must rededicate ourselves to being a force and forces, networked forces for freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, the American story over 233 years has been an inspirational story. We have inspired hope all the world over. We have created opportunity through freedom. Lincoln told us that our union was not perfect, but that it was perfectible, which meant that men and women had to engage in order to keep us on the right path. I would suggest to you that, as was the case with all those other pivotal points in history, how we handle this challenge to America, this challenge to freedom and individual liberty, will be the defining challenge in how we characterize America's third century. Fidelity to principle, fidelity to freedom. In John 3, we are told that those who want to do evil love the darkness. We have an opportunity today to relight our candles and to light the candles of the next generation, so that in this moment of darkness, we are forces of light, and we go forth this afternoon to punch holes in the darkness of our time and to keep America as that shining city on the hill where all freedom-loving people aspire to be, and where all freedom-loving nations aspire to emulate. God bless you, and may God continue to bless the America we love.